Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Terrell and I are getting ready to jump into our review of the new film, Knights of the Zodiac, coming to theaters May 12th. Um, I gotta say, this off break, this was not on my things to do list. There was almost little to no interest. But damn, was this was a good time, and I'm going to explain why, because I did quickly peep at what its current rating was on Rotten Tomatoes, and even on IMDb. It looks like a couple of folks are not liking it. But I enjoyed it for what it was, because once I got into it, I think it was very clear what this film wanted it to be, and I think it executed fully on that note. But yeah, I'm just going to say that I was like thoroughly surprised at how much fun I had with this film, and I will exactly tell you exactly why, and will tell you exactly another film if you enjoyed that you will have no problem enjoying this one. But yeah, this is Knights of the Zodiac, which you may have heard of this anime, which has been around for years. I mean, this is going back to the 80s, and I was never a big fan of it. And the reason I wasn't a big fan of it is because, well, when anime wasn't so just right at your fingertips, a little bit more rarity to reach and obtain, you kind of had to pick and choose exactly what was going to be your bread and butter at the time. And for me, it was Dragon Ball, and right behind Dragon Ball was Ronin Warriors. And well, loving Ronin Warriors is pretty hard to want to watch anything else that was kind of similar to it when you thought about it. But I had always had eyes on it. Obviously, Knights of the Zodiac has still been very popular in terms of an IP. They have a newly animated series on Netflix. The toys are still flying off the shelves. And now it has this live action movie, and I think that whether you were a fan of it, or I say this, if you are a hardcore fan, you probably already had this set on your radar. This did a good press run. I know they were promoting this at WonderCon. And if you're not a fan of it, and you're one of those folks like, oh man, another live action anime, I'm not watching that. I'm going to tell you that you should, because I really didn't have any problems with this film. But I'll stop talking and give it to you, Terrell. Just quickly, what was your thoughts about the film? Did you like it? Did you love it? And what's your thoughts about Knights of the Zodiac overall as an IP?
So, I mean, obviously, watching the trailer, I had PTSD, flashbacks of Dragon Ball Evolution, right? And, that's the that's where my brain went, because anytime they do a live action movie like this, that's where my brain goes, and expectations are always low. And I think that's the best thing for this movie, is coming into it with low expectations, because you don't expect it to do anything. And like you said, I had a fun time, like we watching them doing all the punches and the kicks and stuff like that. I was like, okay, they doing a pretty good job here, and that's the thing that kept me entertained. Now, being as somebody that's actually watched the anime and seen multiple movies, and seen kind of this resurgence of Knights of the Zodiac, Saint Seiya, over the last couple years, Netflix dropped the ball. So like I said, just kind of coming into this, I didn't know what to expect. But like you said, if you're here to have fun, if you're here to see a nice action movie, I think you'll have a good time. If you're a fan of Saint Seiya, Knights of the Zodiac, I think you might want to step away from this one, quite personally. This dropped a lot of balls for me, and things that I was expecting to see. First of all, the title, Knights of the Zodiac, is very misleading. And that's all I'm going to say as we get into this. It just left a lot of stuff on the table that should have been on the table that wasn't there. All the tools were there, but they didn't get used. I would say that.
Okay, I have some thoughts here. And again, this is from somebody who's aware of the anime, have watched some of the anime, but was never a fan of it. And again, I say it, and I'll say it again, that these spoiled kids now have anime at their fingertips.
On demand.
For us, you had to know somebody. You had to have your man in Japan to hook you up. You had to have that person in school that was able to, that had a connect, that was able to hook you up. Or you were waiting into the middle of the night. I mean, even before Toonami. You was waiting in the middle of the night on one of them random channels for an episode of something to drop. And again, you just had to pick and choose what you were going to be a fan of back in the day. And again, for me, it was Dragon Ball and it was Ronin Warriors. So I kind of was never, I could have been a day one, but I wasn't. But again, somehow, some way, Knights of the Zodiac has continued to stay around. And I think that it speaks volumes when IP gets any bit of investment in terms of being on the big screen. And this is not a streaming release. This is in theaters May 12th. So there's that. Now, the similarity to this film, or what I've been kind of referencing and hinting at in the earlier part of this review, is that for my folks who love the Dynasty Warriors movie, which if you know that game and then you saw the movie, which was released on Netflix in America, but it did have a theatrical run before that. Every bit of what that movie was is exactly what you're getting with this. You're getting that Japanese anime to live action conversion CGI, where it's overly exaggerated. It's visually stunning, but you know, you're getting like that looks insane. It absolutely does. That's exactly what this film does. It exaggerates everything because it captures that feeling of what you see in the anime, but live action. And I think that's what you should expect with these films. I think a lot of people have problems with it, but I think that's what it is. And I think anybody who loves Japanese cinema or television period, that's sort of a norm in what you get. If you've seen Train to Busan, I forget what Escape from Peninsula, I think the second one was, that whole car scene that they had it was almost the same exact scene in this film. Like the overly exaggerated speeding through turns, all the car, and the car is obviously CGI. Like you're getting that. So like knowing within 5 minutes of what this film was, I was like, okay, cool. Sit back, put the seatbelt on. That's what this film is. And I think that because it knew what it wanted it to be, and it stayed that entire time, I'm not mad at that. And again, if you love Dynasty Warriors, you will love this because again, it's visually stunning. The action was okay. You know, I thought the fight choreography could have been a lot better, but I will say that they enhanced all of the fightings with these really beautiful, like colored neon beams and rays. You know, straight out of the anime to the live action.
I'm trying to show the cosmos.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job because, like, beyond that, the sound enhanced it. Like again, the visuals enhanced it, and it just and also the slow motion shots. I mean, it was cool. And again, another comparison to if you just seen Creed 3 in terms of how it. You know, they say they found inspiration in anime, and you saw a lot of the fight scenes and how it was the slow motion shots. You've seen all the effects. You're getting all of that. So again, love the slow motion effects, the color beams and rays. I think that the visuals are really, really what brings this life. But again, it was the biggest thing for me is like this film did not reinvent the wheel. This film did everything that you've seen in all of these other films. It's just telling its story. And which on that note, I will say that they took a really long time and careful time to tell this story. I'm about to give it to you once I make this point. I don't have a problem with the story with this because it is very, very clear that this was chapter 1 of things to come. And they did a very good job in fleshing out what's at stake, who's the main character, like even the main character here now in Seiya, who doesn't just automatically become OP, who doesn't just automatically inherit his powers, but you see the work being put in. You see like the mistakes made, and you see the building of this character that I'm like, at some point I'm like, well, clearly this is chapter 1 of things to come now. Like this does not reek one and done. This reeks, let's try to make some money and let's get back to it. And I think the money aspect is fine because again, if you go back to what the IP is doing in terms of merchandise, well, clearly somebody likes this because it's still around, you know? So I didn't have a problem with the story. It's just very evident that they want to flesh this out for a couple of stories, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. But on that note, what you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, folks, Knights of the Zodiac is Sailor Moon for boys, right? This is how this show started. You know, the same transformation sequences. If you go back and watch the show, it's Sailor Moon. This was trying to figure out how to market that Sailor Moon for boys and sell the toys, and it worked. It's been working for over 30 years. It's funny you say this reminded you of that Dynasty Warriors movie. I was thinking more so Mortal Kombat for me and how that movie was in terms of like not the well, obviously the Mortal Kombat has the powers, but the way they did the story by kind of taking an outside character from Cole, whatever his name was, and kind of doing it like that, and they introduced him to his abilities and stuff later on. It kind of reminded me of that format and somewhat of the fighting too. And just like I said, just obviously this steering away from the anime story completely for me, like, and just creating its own story, and like you said, being chapter one of a series, but it takes a while before you figure that out. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that you're gonna see that's not even there. The villain for me just was like left nothing to be desired. It was, I mean, if anything, was boring. The best part of the movie was just seeing Seiya figure out his powers and abilities and stuff like that. And figuring out his life debt is to protect the goddess Athena and stuff like that as they get into that. Now, I tell you one thing that's always a big deal with these anime movies, with these Japan movies, like, is that the biggest thing has always been people get offended when the main character is not Asian or any type of descent from East Asia. You don't have to worry about that here. He actually, the guy can fight. Obviously, he has
Mackenyu. Mackenyu. And like, while you're speaking of him right now, you're going to be seeing a lot more of him because he's been around a lot of live action animes, and he's getting ready to be he is casted, and you will be seeing him very soon in the One Piece live action series that's coming. So I know your eyes are going to be attached to that. But yeah, he's been around, which was the first thing I looked at as well too. So like you talk about in the likes of Full Metal Alchemist, Tokyo Ghoul. I mean, this guy's been around, and I think that, like, I think there's a level of fandom when you notice that as a particular actor is taking roles that seem very, I'm not going to, the genre is similar, obviously it's all the same genre, but like, different characters within the genre, which if you think about voice actors, that's kind of what they do. It's like, oh, I love voice acting for a particular type of anime or family within anime. Right. And cool, that's an appreciation for the craft and the storytelling. I think if you're taking this one step above, this is a live action person acting who says, like, I love this. And I think that gave me a bit of confidence that, like, there's going to be some integrity handled in this lead role here. So I am consider myself a fan, not based on his performance here, but just the resume saying that, like, this guy wants to be involved in the same things that we want to watch. Right. So when you talk about, like, when you've seen the ball dropped from the Netflix versions, then you start to say, there's going to be certain people that's going to make sure and stand by that none of these things happen, because as much as us being fans of these IPs, these series, these franchises for a long time, the fact that we're even getting these opportunities, we are hoping for the best of them, and I'm guessing they want the best for them. And I think that, like, that's a bit of confidence knowing that he could be the lead for movies to come. And I think that this was a really good outing into one, if you've never been introduced to him, or if you've never been introduced to Knights of the Zodiac or the character Seiya in general. I think that, like, there's reasons to be invested into him alone. But I'm gonna give it to you here because there's some other names attached to this that are, it's a good bunch. It's a cast of folks that you would know, that you will absolutely know everybody in the cast is notable. You've seen these faces in so many different movies or TV series. And it's just a bunch of, like, almost random pickings, but for whatever reason, it kind of worked, I guess. What's your thoughts about the cast?
I mean, kind of like you said, all over the place. Not sure what to expect. I mean, like you said, Mackenyu playing Seiya, who has the background for this, so you're not surprised to see him in this. Building that resume. Madison Iseman, who's playing, the goddess Athena. Again, not the choice I probably would have picked, but she served her purpose here. Diego Tanaka playing, Nero, who I didn't even realize was a character until, like, midway through the movie. He just was kind of just like, all right, just there. Mark Dacascos. I'm not surprised that he's here. You always see him randomly in these type of movies. He has quite the resume. We just saw him in John Wick not too long ago. Yes, so I'm pretty sure they put this on his desk and he was like, yeah, whatever. I don't even need to read it. But he does this thing here. Nick Stahl, is in this, and he's playing Cassius.
Yeah.
It's because Sean Bean. You know where that's going. if you see any of Sean Bean's work from Game of Thrones to various other films, you know where it's going. But he's playing a big character. Amon in this movie.
Mhm.
Famke Janssen, the faculty, X-Men. You know her. She's playing Gerard here.
Yeah.
I was just very confused as to who she was supposed to be as I was watching this. I was like, oh, okay, that character. Okay. But like I said, just really good cast. Like I think Sean Bean and Famke Janssen is like they're probably the two that kind of stand out from the movie the most because of their history of work. But other than that, like I said, it's a solid cast. Like I said, they can definitely tell that they, for whatever reason, they were trying to keep this balance of ridiculous and like real life. They were trying to kind of keep it grounded a little bit from what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Until they, So
let me add another name in there, and TJ Storm, who is very lengthy resume in terms of voice acting, but also when it comes down to stunts, your man has been in a bunch of projects, whether he's been credited or not. But let it be known that TJ, and matter of fact, anybody that you think has any bit of stunt backgrounds definitely have their moments in that. And the moment I saw TJ, I said, listen. And they didn't waste no time in ensuring that he can get down. I mean, I could probably talk another 10 minutes about folks like TJ, and there's another name that comes to mind, Hakeem, if everybody know, back from WMAC Masters. These are like two folks that I've been like really big fans of for a long time, just because of their work in terms of stunts and the characters that just are sometimes supporting characters, but they just are so fulfilling. And even his character in this is kind of like, what's the deal with him? But I think I need more. It's a strong introduction in terms of like what does this character mean? So would you
say this is the movie where the stunt people lead the film? Like it's like the story really is like but like it's a stunt movie. Like
I will say that there has been a period where stunt actors are getting lead roles and are respected for it. And I'm never going to complain about that. And if that's where you're going at with that, then so be it. I would never complain when we see these folks who have assisted and kind of, was in charge of the choreography or was on the defensive end of things, now become the stars and the leading thing. And absolutely, there's definitely some stunt work in this that is for sure notable. It could have been better. I won't even lie. Somebody who absolutely goes into these films looking for the choreography work, the hand-to-hand combat. You already know. But like you want more, and this one I think was just kind of very subpar. There wasn't a lot going on, but yeah, I respect TJ Storm. And again, if they had somehow put Akeem Aston in this, I would have lost my mind. Like these are two folks, like two of my favorite like low key actors and stunt actors in like everything. But yeah, I will say this to kind of just really quickly, just in case I don't know what this is about. Seiya is tasked. Well, when Seiya was younger, his sister protected him from some danger, which ultimately got her taken. And since then, he's been kind of living with that guilt, and he's trying to do everything in order to figure out where his sister was taken towards. At the same time, he discovers that he may have some hidden powers within him, and that leads him down another path in which now he meets Sienna, who he has to protect because Grodd is trying to stop Sienna because she ultimately will become Athena and that can destroy the earth. So like there's like a couple of different little themes going on here, but it's all about Seiya discovering his powers, protecting Sienna, but also trying to find his sister and all the threats that involves with all of this. So there's that. But like I said in the beginning, man, I honestly wasn't expecting much, almost nothing in this film. I almost really didn't even want to watch this film. But I took a leap of faith and I'm happy, man. I thought this was, to my surprise, dope from top to bottom. I thought the cast was good. The action was good. The story was good. The production was exactly what I thought it was going to be, especially when you're talking about Japanese live action anime. And while this really didn't show anything new in terms of like reinventing the wheel, it's nothing I can complain about because this film was exactly what it needed to be. It did not try to step out of the box and do anything more than it hadn't done. And again, I think that this film completely reminded me of Dynasty Warriors, and I love Dynasty Warriors, and I think you will love this as well too. The CGI was CGI, as I mentioned. It's over the top. That's what you get with these films. But the costume designs was amazing. The visuals was amazing. The transformations was amazing. And it's what you want in these things, man. Look, first of all, to put this into perspective, it can always be so bad that you just have to turn around and look. Dragon Ball Evolution is that example. When you say this is so bad, this is so off-brand for what this show really is, I'm not watching this. And I think there was never a moment where I was not engaged, where I was just like, this is cool, this is cool. Yes, the CGI looks like CGI, but it's supposed to be a live action anime. It's not supposed to be a practical anime. And that's not what they aim for. They say, hey, we're taking this off the comics, off the manga, off the television or whatever, and putting it on the big screen. And that's what you got. So I thought it was dope. The score was also dope as well too. And the last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna give it to you to give your remarks, is that there's a very random comparison here to X-Men 3 Last Stand in a moment in this film. I could not help but, because obviously with what's her name being casted, as you mentioned, from X-Men, who plays Dark Phoenix, I couldn't help but to notice her the entire time. It's like, oh, that's Jean Grey, that's Phoenix. Right. But there's definitely a moment where in this film that is absolutely a page out of X-Men 3. it's like the wildest thing. I'm like, I've seen this before. Exactly what I've seen before. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, there's definitely a lot that they can do with this going forward, and we're going to see what's happening. And I think that the ending definitely set up the potential for it. And yeah, stay through the credits, man, because the credit theme is pretty dope, and the visuals in the credits are pretty dope. So that's all I have to say about it. For you, sir, anything else you need to cover, talk about, express with this film?
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, it's an live action anime movie that's not reinventing the wheel here. They, you want to see them, you want to see more attempts at them doing these type of movies until they get it right. And there's been a few for me that I think they have. I thought that live action Bleach, like that, the way they did that, I thought that was pretty good. The Full Metal Alchemist, I thought was decent. Other people had issues with that. It's and there's a lot of bad examples, Death Note and stuff like that that just completely just missed the mark in terms of casting and story altogether. But I think this tries to take some of the elements of it and try to expand this into a series of movies, which it probably will be a trilogy, who knows. But I also feel like you said, it definitely takes a while to kind of get to where it's going in the story. But then you just kind of just stop caring, and you get to the punchy and it all looks good. The transformations with the armor and everything were definitely dope. Like you said, the costume design and everything like that was really good. And just to see Mark and everybody just have a fun time on set. Ultimately comes down to this is definitely not a theater movie for me personally. This would have been a stream all day. This is something I would have just did on Netflix or whatever. But that's just, I'm already scared, when it comes to live action movie anime and taking that chance with your money in the theater. But overall, it was a fun time. Got nothing else to do. He probably could have shaved a good 10-15 minutes off for me. Yeah. Because it was some parts you just didn't need. But other than that, the visuals and everything look really, really good. And check it out if you're fans of Knights of the Zodiac. So other than that, that's it.
Yeah, everybody got their hesitations going to see live action animes, and I think whether you want to watch it streaming or whether you were going to theaters, I think that's what we're doing here, is trying to get you that review to let you know that, if it convinces you to go in theaters, go check it out, then do so, because I would, if I had heard somebody say go see it, because I definitely would not just, there's been some bad, it's 50-50 right now, and I think that, like, if you're a gambling person, you can now kind of, like, tip the house a little bit by hearing what other folks have to say, and I think that there has been some folks in their reviews that didn't like it, but also think that you kind of got to know your audience here, or you got to look at folks or in their and what their fandoms are, what their interests are, and then base that on what you want to think. And I think us as fans of all things, but as you can see, loving anime and whatnot. I think that it's a bit of confidence here that if this sounds like something you want to go check out, you should. I would absolutely check it out. I did not have a problem with it. It's a little bit longer than I thought it could be or should be, but overall I had a good time after a while. And as you said, at some point you just kind of shut it off and you just kind of say, all right, let's just get some more action going on here. So
don't overthink it. If you like Fast and the Furious, you probably gonna like this.
Right? It's all about family. But anyway, folks, check out Knights of the Zodiac in theaters May 12th. Get in the comments, folks. Let us know your thoughts about this once you check it out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Thank you for watching, folks.
See you.